So spiderjackangel, what's some of your favorite Wes Craven movies?
I have a lot of them. I mean, my top favorites are probably the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie and the first Scream movie. Will
Hmm.
probably be my two favorites, and um, the remake of The Last House on the Left I really liked, and I also really like the original Last House on the Left.
Hmm.
Other ones, Dracula 2000, which he did, I actually really liked. Not so much the sequels because the sequels went straight to DVD, and that movie could have been contained with just one film. And in all essence, it was the sequels basically kind of screwed up the film altogether.
All right,
But
well, let's talk about another one of his classics, The Hills Have Eyes.
yeah,
Um, uh, what are your favorites out of the Hills Have Eyes series? I guess you could say.
well, this is actually the first time I'm going to say this, but I actually like the remake of The Hills Have Eyes better than the original.
Hmm.
The original was good, and I would probably put the original actually third because I actually like the sequel to the original a little bit more better than I like the original. But you know, and probably my least favorite would actually be The Hills Have Eyes 2 because I had so much hype going into the second Hills Have Eyes remake, and then I just was completely disappointed at the fact that none of the characters from the original one, even made an appearance in that film. And yes, I do know that there was a comic strip dealing with the original characters that was supposed to be somewhat like a prequel or somewhat a sequel slash prequel to that film. But to me, I think they should have at least had one of the original characters be in the military or U.S. Navy and basically help out the new people that are trying to survive these cannibals.
Yeah, for me, I actually really like The Hills Have Eyes too. It's one of my favorite films, and not only that, but it was also written by Wes Craven and his son, which I thought was really cool.
Well, no offense to Wes Craven, but he could have done better with that sequel. And I mean, I really can't get behind saying I actually liked it. I have tried. There are some
Yeah,
minor memorable lines in that film,
yeah.
but I just can't get behind liking it. I actually, while I do own the film myself, I only pay $2 to buy it used. So I mean, that's kind of saying how much I would actually
Oh,
spend on it.
believe it or not, I think it's one of his best films. But that's
No,
just me. That's just
no.
me. I really like that movie. There's a lot of great scenes, like the scene with the guy trying to come out of the toilet. That was fucking hilarious.
Well, see, that is one of the best lines. The that
Yeah.
line where the guy basically goes like, I don't effing know, shitman the barbarian." I mean, that was hilarious. And then the part where the drill sergeant goes like, "You are not Rambo resurrected." Those two parts were like the two most hilarious parts in the film.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just don't see
You know that
any
that I
quality
was
on it.
saying with JT is Reborn that a lot of the Wes Craven films contain dark comedy mixed in with the actual horror. There's always some kind of comedy element to almost every Wes Craven movie. I mean, even go back to the original Last House on the Left. There's some pretty funny moments in there with the cops, and he just throws that in there.
I have to admit, I did find it funny where the wife killed the one killer in the last house on the left. I believe, if I remember correctly now, it's been so long since I've seen it, so I may be wrong on this. But I believe she bites his dick off or chops his dick off. One of those two, And I would actually even say the ending to the original Hills Have Eyes, well, not Hills Have Eyes, Last House on Left, sorry. Um, the ending to that film, was actually pretty dark. So
Well, like both endings, like I like the ending in the remake of The Last House on the Left, of course, with the microwave and the guy's head being blown up, and I also like the ending with the guy chainsawing the guy to death. That was pretty cool.
yeah, but see, the thing is that one ending kind of has a glimmer of hope. The other ending basically, is kind of vague for the fact that the cops just arrived and, they see like the killer just dead on the sofa, and it's just like, okay, we all know what's going to happen here. They're just going to get arrested or something else, it's going to happen. So
Yeah, it's one of those revenge movies, basically. Kind of like it's kind of like I Spit on Your Grave, almost. I think, um, it's almost kind of like that movie, but except that movie's a lot more gruesome.
and it actually has a much more brighter ending too. So
Well, so let's now I don't know if you ever seen have you seen the original Hills Have Eyes 2 by Wes Craven, because he
yeah,
actually made an original. I actually personally like the remake a lot better than the original.
well, I like the original sequel a lot more better than the sequel to the remake.
Yeah.
And yes, I do know that Wes Craven, he said like he didn't like the sequel that much, and the whole reason why he did a sequel to, I believe, the first one is so that he could greatly improve. But however, I have to say, I thought the story structure wise, the sequel to the original film was a lot more better.
Really? Well, I guess everybody has their own opinion on that. Yeah, I personally like the remake sequel better, and you like the actual sequel better. But but we can both agree that the original is a very good movie,
Yeah.
classical. It's very classic. So what are your favorite Wes Craven films?
Well, my top favorite are actually Scream and the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And if I had to toss one more in there, I would actually toss in, and I know a lot of people are going to really disagree with me on this one,
Okay,
but I would actually toss in the third Scream.
third Scream.
Yeah.
For me, for me, it's Scream 1, 2, and 4. But that's just me.
The reason why I like Scream 3 above Scream 2 is, A, I like the fact that it deals with Sydney's mother more. I like the fact that it's more mystery than horror, but still had some horror elements into it. I also like the fact that the killer in that one wasn't really killing, people in a certain order. He basically was killing the people the way they died in scripts. And since there was, I believe, three scripts, there was no way in telling who was going to die. And I thought that was a great setup, even though he was killing, the movie actors along with the older cast. But I thought that was a great setup. I thought the execution of it was good. And I actually was really scared when I saw that film for Cindy's character when she was in the studio set of of the house from the first film. I thought that was really intense and really scary, and actually had me worried for a little bit that Cindy was actually going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the suspense was there. I thought the comedy was there, although it's, a little bit more cheesy than the previous, two, but I thought it was good nonetheless. So that's why I probably put Scream 3 right at number 3 as one of my favorite Wes Craven films.